Hey there, thanks for following my series on the 2022 Husqvarna FC 350. I just realized today I'm at 10 hours. So thought that'd be a kind of a nice round number to give a roll up of everything I've learned. Probably keep doing these videos in the future when I stumble across, like important upgrades or things that I think really make a difference. But I think 10 hours is a really good time because that's given me enough time, some 2 races, a lot of practice, ridden a bunch of different track conditions now. So I've kind of got a good feel for the bike, I think. And I definitely am. I felt comfortable on it right away, but definitely it feels like really, my bike now. So I wanted to run through a few things I noticed. We'll start off with suspension. The whole thing about the suspension break-in, that's totally legit. If you jump on that bike at first, it feels stiff. Just drop the fork pressure a little bit, back out on the clickers, and just wait and keep running it. You don't have to go crazy and send it off thinking it's not going to work for you, because it's probably going to work for you. I went back up to the stock rate now. I bumped it down about 6 psi there at first. Back at the stock rate now, and I'm starting to flirt with actually using stiffer than stock rate, which is what most of the magazines recommend. But I'm old and slow, and I like mushy forks, so it's hard for me to do that. So I'm flirting with the little higher spring pressure now, and still backed out on the compression a bit to get a nice free feel, because that's just what I like. Today I'm GTR Complex, which is a sand track. This is really my first time getting to ride in sand. I rode briefly the other week down at Pineville, but the track was completely smooth that day because we were starting off, so I didn't really get much feel for what it was, really going to feel like. And I'll tell you, this thing is a fantastic sand motor. It pulls down low, it revs up way high, so you have these situations where, like, a lot of other motors are kind of either or, and you're always looking for a gear, and this thing is just so freaking good in the sand because it gets that over rev. So if you're in a kind of a rough, choppy situation, you don't want to shift, there's always a little bit more on top, and you can just kind of rev out, and the bike doesn't get all, jerky like some of them if you're at the top of the rev. So this thing, so far today, it's just exceptional in taking care of me in the sand, and that makes sand a lot more enjoyable. I'm not a great sand rider at all, so anything that helps me in the sand is a good thing. Something I've noticed with the handling on this bike, and I think this is a KTM and Husky, and I'm sure a Gas thing. These things, you can get away with standing through turns. Like, they like it. And I may have mentioned that before, but the more I ride, I'll go to tracks, and sometimes you get in these corners where it's kind of awkward and you're not really sure. It doesn't feel like you should be putting your foot out. And I'd say if you have one of these, just try to leave your foot on the peg and stand through a turn, and they really react well to that. And plus it keeps the bike, you've got just better control as far as the bumps and everything, bump absorption and all that. So it's kind of a neat trick I've noticed on these, and other bikes do it, but these really like it when you do it. So something to check out. When I talk about starts, I've raced 2 tracks. At first I tried first gear starts because I thought it was going to be, with so much over rev, it might be good because I could get a really good jump off the gate and then get into the over rev. But it does rev out a little too fast. And if it's deep, it's going to really rev out. So I've gone back to like my normal second gear starts. This bike does great on starts because it really jumps out of the hole. I feel like it kind of can jump out faster in a 450 because it can just get going. So the starts have been good. I put a Pro Taper Sela, however you want to pronounce it, self-locking hole shot device on there, and that's sweet. You just you lock it, roll up to the gate, compress it, and then it's set. You don't have to have anybody there, and you don't have to like coach other people and perfect strangers begging them to set your hole shot device and crap like that. So really like that thing so far. And for modern racing, you do need a hole shot device if everyone else is using one. It'd be nice if nobody used them and we didn't have to fool with it, but that's a whole other story, right? So second gear. Now I want to talk about my evolution with this motor. So I started off, and I wanted to get a good feel for what it did all the way, the kind of the different variations, because you've got mapping, you've got the vented airbox cover, and I wanted to just get a feel for how that all worked. So initially I started on the mellow map, and I like that. And when I tried Map 2, what it felt like is it was really soft down low, and then it hit hard, but it felt kind of like an artificial hit, like it was like managed or something, like almost electronic. It is electronic, but it didn't feel natural to an engine, I guess is what I'm saying. So I just stuck with Mellow Map because I liked it. It was, it was just so predictable. You can be, if you're a little like me, a little sloppy on the throttle sometimes coming out of turns, that Mellow Map will just kind of save you because the bike's not going to jerk. So, like the Mellow Map. And then I started messing with things. I went to, I added the vented airbox cover, and I really like that because it makes it feel just a little bit freer. So the power just kind of comes on freer. It's not a hit. It's not like going to a 450 kind of hit. It just kind of revs up a little bit more readily. And then I put in the two-stroke air filter cage, which we talked about, $14 upgrade. And that, whereas if the airbox made a difference of, a scale of 1 to 10, if the airbox made a difference of, say, a 2, I'd say that the vented, or the filter screen made it like a 0.5, right? So just a little bit of difference. And then after that, I decided to try Map 2 again because it just seemed weird to me. And plus everybody's saying, oh yeah, Map 2, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to figure this all out for myself. So once you open up the air and you use Map 2, it fills in that bottom end. So it doesn't really feel restricted on the bottom. It feels good. And then I think it also, like, if you imagine the torque curve, like here's the power and then here's that hit, by filling in the bottom, that hit isn't so pronounced and it's just a real nice ride. So you can still be a little loose with the throttle. It's not going to bite you too hard, but it does pull a little bit stronger, but it's still nothing like, it's not like a jerky 450 kind of pull. It's just a nice, natural, organic pull. And I think that just makes this bike so fun to moto on. And that's kind of the next thing I want to talk about. It's just, I've been doing motos on this bike, and when I go to a track, I try to put down real race motos. And what I'm noticing, I'm turning good laps, most of the way, lap 7, lap 6, whatever. Let's say 2/3 of the way through my motos is where I'm putting down my good laps. Where maybe on a 450, I've got a couple of hero laps, and then I start dropping off. And what I'm noticing with this, I start off strong, and then I start finding things on the track, because what I'm doing is I'm not worn out by that bike. I'm not holding on for dear life. I get into a pretty good energy mode of, not burning too much energy, but I still have enough in reserve to where now I'm riding the track and I'm looking for lines and I'm finding ways to carry momentum and things like that. And that, to me, that's when moto gets fun, because now you're not surviving, you're riding the track and you're going faster, and that's how you pick up speed over time. So kind of the last piece of that is the question, all right, who needs a 350? Who needs a 450? And I will tell you, for me, I think, if you can go out and lay down 15-minute motos or whatever your race organization does, right? If you guys do 15s, you do 20s, if you do 8s, I don't know. But if you can go down and go 100% your whole moto, and you're not getting sketchy, and you're not whiskey throttling and getting tired and stuff like that, if you can do that on a 450, by all means, go for it. But for me, I want something that if it gets a little out of control, I can get it back in. And when I get tired and sketchy, I want a bike that I can get back into line like that. And that's why I like the 250F. And that's, I think this bike does a really good blend of both of those. So you're still getting the controllability and rideability of a 250, but just a little extra grunt. I mean, it's a great size. So this is nothing that people haven't known for a long time, but for me as a rider, it's been really cool to put all this together and learn this bike and experience it for myself. And again, I'm telling you this from a intermediate, vet intermediate level, not from a pro level, not from a absolute novice level. So if you're kind of in my demographic, this is probably going to be a bike that you enjoy riding. And they come in 3 different colors. And I haven't been able to do a direct compare to this and the other colors, because this one does have a little bit lower suspension for better handling. So, but I definitely don't have any complaints. So that's the main thing. Just extremely versatile motor. On this track, like I was saying, I can go. I can just rev it out if I need to rev it out. It's forgiving. If you're in chop, it's not going to like rev out and then fall on its face and act weird. So very versatile. If you're on a tight track or a hard pack track and you need to lug it, you could do that. It's neat. So all in all, I would definitely say that I've been, it's exceeded expectations. This bike has been what I hoped it would be. It hasn't really had any shortfalls where I felt like, oh, it's good, but it's not quite doing it. It's been what I hoped it would be. And thanks everyone who's been watching these videos for watching, subscribing, and all that. I really appreciate it. We've gotten some cool views, and it's just cool to talk to people too about these bikes. I'm not a salesman. Husky doesn't pay me anything, so there's nothing in it for me. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'm just going to leave you with a few laps on the sand track today just for fun, and have fun out there riding.